From any Property 360 view, just beneath the listing photos, you'll find 5 icons that are integrated with Realist. The first one, labeled TX, is the Realist property link. Next is the A icon. This is a link to the Realist assessor map. The N icon is a link to the Realist neighborhood profile. The C icon will take you to Realist comps. And finally, the M icon will link to Realist market trends. Let's take a look at each one, starting with the TX icon. As you can see, the TX icon takes you to a report that's very similar to the report you would see when clicking on the Tax tab on the 360 Property view, where you can view calculated values and up-to-date tax information for a property. But there are some differences. First, notice at the top of this report, you have the option to launch the full Realist database, view comps, and the property neighborhood profile. And on the top right side of the screen, you have the option to print the report. The owner and location sections are identical to the information you find in the Tax tab, as we discussed in the previous video. The tax information section is much like the one we saw in the previous video, except here you can click on the property ID number, which is also a link to the county appraiser's office. The assessment and tax section shows the tax amounts and year-over-year percentage of change for the past 3 years. Both the characteristics and features section mirror the same sections in the previous video. The sales score indicator isn't available under the Tax tab, but is available on this report and is based on a CoreLogic proprietary algorithm and indicates the relative likelihood a property will be listed for sale in the next 6 months. Properties with a very high sales score, 831 and higher, represent the top 5% of properties most likely to sell and are 2.6 times more likely to sell than the average property. Properties with moderate to high sales scores, 502 to 830, are more likely to sell than the average property. And properties with very low to low sales scores, 0 to 501, are less likely to sell than the average property. We reviewed the estimated value section in the previous video. Please refer to that video for more information. The next section of the property detail report is the listing information. This pulls all the information from the current MLS listing and any historic MLS listings. The last Market Sale and Sales History section shows the sale history of the property. The next section is the mortgage history. This shows the history of financing obtained for this property over time. And if there were any foreclosure information on this property, the next section and final section of the property detail report would be a foreclosure history. To return to the Property 360 view, simply scroll back to the top of the screen, and because this report opened in a new tab, we can close this tab and select the Matrix tab to the left.